Thank you very much for coming today. It really means a lot for the whole team at Biped that you made it here today. The presentation will mostly be held in English. We will do a couple of translations on the fly if needed. Merci beaucoup d'être venu aujourd'hui. Ça représente beaucoup pour nous. Today marks the nearly 2 years since the beginning of us working on Biped. It's also the day we are celebrating the launch of our first device. And I wanted to come back on a couple of key elements towards like that have been building blocks of the creation of Biped. And the project, for as many of you might know, started about 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I met a blind person who was crossing the street, holding his phone in his hand and making a video call to a relative. And that's the moment I realized the person was actually trying to detect bicycles, electric scooters, cars, and a couple of elements in the streets that move dynamically, don't specifically generate sounds, and that might have been a simple encounter, but it was also the moment I realized we could start building something for this. Shortly after I contacted the ophthalmic hospital, I started to get to know a bit the problem, and there's close to 3 million blind people in Europe, 2 million in the US, and nearly 300 million visually impaired people worldwide. And one of the things we realized is that looking at the daily struggles in mobility, avoiding obstacles is definitely one of them. So you use a white cane when you're blind or visually impaired. The white cane can only detect one level, so 1 meter ahead of the user, and only ground level elements. That's limitation. And on top of that, there's the limits that more and more elements in the street are starting to become electric. Electric scooters, electric bicycles, electric cars. They move fast. They're very dangerous. Sometimes it's unclear whether they're supposed to be on the sidewalk or on the street directly. And that's one of the limitations also, because the white cane, if ever it detects it way too late. And finally, navigation. Navigating independently from point A to point B is something that remains challenging. GPS technology is not reliable enough to work as is and be something that can empower people to discover new places directly. And that was really the moment where the idea came to say, this is exactly what self-driving cars are doing, right? They're avoiding obstacles, they're detecting specific types of objects, such as pedestrians, bicycles, other cars, and trucks, predicting the trajectories in real time, and they're also guiding users following a route from A to B. With this idea in mind, that's the moment we contacted the ophthalmic hospital, and Fatima was one of our very first contacts there. And it really started what became one of the key collaborations we had in the co-development of the solution. And I'd like to invite Fatima to give a quick word from the Jules Gonin Hospital. Thank you, Fatima.
I hope that you can hear me well. So my name is Fatima Naflous, so I'm coming from the Jules Gonin Eye Hospital in Lausanne. So I'm an orthoptist in low vision units, and I'm also a research associate for the low vision project in the hospital. It was with Pedro Pessoa that is here and is also an occupational therapist. So we met for the first time, Maël and the team of SoundMap, it was 2 years ago, during the COVID. So one of our research area in our low vision units is also all the assistive technologies. So we decided to focus on this kind of aids for people, and also it was just we noticed that the technology is going very fast, in fact, all the developments, and we have the need to connect the needs of the clinical needs with the evolution of the technology. And so we also work on artificial intelligence, and the idea was to say also why a car can do something and a human with visual impairment cannot do the same things. But it's not so easy when you know the domain of the low vision and the complementary substitution. It's not so easy to just translate what we have done for cars to human. Okay? So we have also to think a lot of bit regarding which kind of feedback, when, how. And so when we met 2 years ago, Maël, so it was just a prototype made during 3 months, I think. Yep. Well, so the first prototype, when he came, we noticed that Maël already contacted patients, okay, and also patient association. And this is very, very important in the field of the low vision and also the field of disability, to just take in consideration of the end users' need before to start to develop a lot of different prototypes. And Maël has also the opportunity to talk with us and to ask us as low vision experts as well, okay? Because when you have to learn how to use a white cane, for example, you need an O&M therapist. So we also think about how to do a rehabilitation or re-education with this kind of devices. So while we had other opportunity to work with other companies regarding artificial intelligence, and why we decided to work in collaboration with Maël since the beginning, is that we noticed that it was not an engineer that was thinking to know how blind people are doing, but since the beginning, he asked people, end users, okay, what are their needs, okay? And he always adapted with our feedback and patient feedback to develop all the other prototypes. Ouais. Je sais pas si tu as une autre.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Fatima. This is indeed one of the, I think, the crucial elements in the development of biped was our ability to approach one of the local specialist center and have the ability to interact with them from very early stage, which is by far not given to many startups. So again, thank you. I wanted to take a few seconds to come back on the very early prototypes that we developed. Some of the pictures you might have never seen on what the actual device looked like and what our assumptions were like at the time. That was actually the very first project we contacted the hospital with. It was a belt. It was named SandMap, indeed, back then. And it had a central camera. And the main limiting factor that we saw is that if you wear it as a belt, people are going to place their hands in front of it simply when they use the white cane. So that was one of our first 3 months of development that disappeared at that stage. We then figured out, okay, let's put it on the harness, like on the shoulders directly. It needs to become a harness. So we bought a GoPro harness from somewhere, and we 3D printed a case on top of it. And that was some of the very first tests that we did. One of the limitations that we identified was the fact that people still need to tighten things, still need to clip, and from the ergonomic standpoint, it was very limiting. Afterwards, we came with a first. I wouldn't call it wireless, but in a sense, less cables. And that was one of the first times that this form factor appeared internally. Every time we tested with more and more people to see if our assumptions for the shape were also okay. We came to this first version that was a nightmare to hand assemble, but that was the first version where cables were hidden, and that worked completely over Bluetooth to stream the audio feedback to the end user. This version that we have been using until now, before the final version of biped, that still had the problem, for example, of assuming one way or another that the cameras are flat on the chest. However, one of the learnings we had was the fact that the chest might seem obvious for now, but the chest is not flat, and so the cameras would tend to look up a bit, and we would miss part of the important information on the ground. So that's still some of the late-stage learnings that we did. Together with over 250 beta testers And after over 200 kilometers walked with biped, this is a bit random metric, but I think we're quite close to this. We are today getting to the stage where we're very happy to be launching biped. And this is the first version of biped that you'll see right out of this room. We have a couple of them lined up there. Biped is made of cameras that scan 170 degrees of field of view around the person, has a small computer, a battery that sits in the back. It has improved ergonomics, and this is the first commercial version we'll bring on the market with a key feature of first detecting wide-angle images, being able to understand where the safe ground is for people and where obstacles are located on the way, but also detect pedestrians and vehicles, all sorts, including electric scooters, including buses, and predict in real time the trajectories of those elements to estimate risks of collision a couple of seconds before they even occur. That gives us a full environment understanding, which we then boil down into a small audio feedback. And so if there is a branch of a tree coming at the head level, the person would hear a sound sequence similar to this. So having developed a very simple interface that people have very few training on, it just allows us to bring some of the most exciting stuff in the space of the self-driving car at a very human, understandable level on the other hand. So rather than speaking too long on this is some of the demo videos we've been shooting in Lausanne recently with Ali, with Saliu, and with Pierre, who was one of our beta testers, where we can see Saliu avoiding street marketing elements before the white cane has a risk of collision with it. Pierre going around nicely cut tree, but that would be a head level obstacle that would have been dangerous, or biped having the ability to correct if the person is not walking entirely straight. Ali avoiding two pedestrians on the crosswalk, on the sidewalk here, or Saliu going around a person from behind without having this risk of hitting the person. And finally, one of the key highlights is that biped doesn't generate any sound when there is no risk of collision, and this is one of the features that people enjoy the most. Biped altogether is quite light. It's 860 grams. We've also made it ultra-wide in terms of angle, specifically for one reason. Once you approach a crosswalk, you probably don't want to have to rotate your shoulders on the left or rotate your shoulders on the right to be able to detect those potential obstacles. And biped also answers a simple need, the fact that once you go out in the street, it's very frequent that you have 2 or 3 hours of potential walked time, and you want to have all of this covered. So biped has the swap-on battery that you can basically just swap, and each battery offers 3 hours at this stage. All of what's possible in biped right now has been enabled by some of the world's most advanced robotics cameras that became smaller and smaller over time. What we're building with biped now was essentially not possible 2 years ago even, because the cameras were too big, because the LiDARs that were on the market were too expensive or too big also, and because some of the algorithms that we were running on biped were also not open sourced and not running fast enough, and the hardware was just not there. And that's one of the things we also wanted to stress out, is it's an innovation that brings a momentum together and to make this possible. So that being said, I think I've spoken enough for now. I'd like to invite Ali on stage because Ali has been one of our very frequent beta testers. You can join me, Ali. And Ali will speak in French, and I will do a quick translation afterwards. So Ali, the floor is yours.
Bonjour, bon après-midi à vous tous. Du coup, comme il a dit, moi je m'appelle Ali et je collabore avec Maël depuis maintenant février dernier. Et je dois dire que jusqu'à maintenant, je suis assez satisfait de ce que j'expérimente avec lui. Pour moi, le projet il est fiable et solide pour plusieurs raisons. Premièrement, le concept en lui-même, il est quand même assez dingue. Vous avez une espèce d'écharpe avec une caméra comme ça. Fallait y penser quand même. et aussi le fait d'utiliser des sons sonores au lieu des audios, parce que automatiquement, quand on pense à applications pour personnes déficientes visuelles, oui, on pense toujours à des audios qui prennent 3 phrases, qui sont longues, amortes, c'est tout, alors que là, c'est des sons directs, clairs, nets et précises, qui nous permettent du coup de repérer le danger et de s'en écarter assez rapidement. Et aussi, ce que je peux dire, c'est qu'il est aussi solide le projet de par l'état d'esprit de l'équipe qui le conçoit. Parce que depuis mon premier test jusqu'à aujourd'hui, chaque remarque que j'ai pu effectuer à Maël, elle a été prise en compte et remise à jour pour le test suivant. Du coup, ça donne vraiment l'impression d'avancer dans un projet concret, solide et et que notre avis compte. Donc voilà un peu mon avis sur biped. Et surtout, je pense que personnellement, moi, ça peut me servir surtout pour les grands axes ou les grands carrefours où il y a beaucoup plus d'obstacles et beaucoup plus de susceptibilité de s'embrouiller, où les routes elles vont un peu dans tous les sens, ou ce genre de choses. Donc ça peut me permettre d'éviter les dangers assez facilement. Donc voilà un peu, je fais court, mais voilà.
Thank you very much, Ali. I mean, for us, it's also always been a pleasure to work with people who are like motivated to work with us. It was always great to see to get corrected when we were wrong, because I think we also had a bunch of ideas which turned out in the end to be not the best. And so it's always good to see, to get feedback on this. And I think it's also not something you can just expect from people. So I think thank you very much, Ali, and thank you very much to everybody else who helped us with this on this journey. Okay, so if we look at biped, I guess without the software in biped would basically just be an empty hull. So I'm also very excited today that we can share with you biped copilot, which is basically the AI engine that we developed to drive biped in the inside and to tell it what is happening around it. Today we're going to give you a very rough estimate or a rough idea of how biped copilot helps biped to perceive its environment, to understand what is happening around it. So if we look at the pipeline basically consists of 4 steps, where the first 2 steps run in parallel. The idea is basically that we have a look at the environment and we try to detect where all the obstacles and the objects are, where they are moving, and then we take that information and we aggregate it to predict any kind of risk of collision or any other problem that one might arrive. Then what we do next is we have intuitive sounds that we generate by telling it where the sound should come from so that the person can react. And if the person wants that, there's also the option to have navigational information to help somebody navigate from A to B. All of that feedback is then heard with bone conduction headphones, which have the big advantage that the person can also hear everything that is happening around them. So biped will always come as an information on top. And will help you navigate. Yeah, all of these tasks, from the image acquisition to the generation of the sounds, roughly take 350 milliseconds, which guarantees that whatever happens around the person, they will always have the time to react to the new situation. These tasks together form the backbone of biped's AI system and help the user to more securely and easily navigate in unknown environments. To help you understand a bit more of the very theoretical things I just talked about, I'm very happy that Arthur can give you a little demo of what the system actually sees.
Hi everyone. So now we'll give you a small understanding of how biped perceives the world. So to do that, we'll go on a walk. I will show you how under the hood it perceives the environment in a typical scenario, which is walking outdoor. We start from this. We have 3 cameras that give us 3 images that we aggregate together to give us a 170 degrees field of view. Now on top of that, we also generate a 3D understanding of what's happening around the user. That allows biped to better understand where the obstacles are located and how far away they are. Now, let's take a situation where you're walking in the street and you're about to bump into someone that's not very careful and they're just looking at their phone. right? And so what biped can do is that it will detect far in advance that there is someone, there is a risk of collision with something, and then it will warn you through a 3D sound. And then you're able to take the necessary steps to avoid that person. Now, let's rewind and see what biped actually sees. In this case, we added this overlay. Here you have 3 purple B-box. That's 3 obstacles that are right in front of you. And let's just do the same scene, but seeing everything that biped is aware of. So it sees the person, it sees the cars in the background, it sees the obstacles. But the thing is, that's way too much, right? All of these things are relevant, they're true. There is an obstacle there, there's a car over there, there's a person walking towards you. But not everything should be heard by the person wearing biped. And that's why we developed an algorithm that essentially filters out, it detects the most important detection amongst everything that biped is seeing. So let's do the same sequence again, but here we only show what has been prioritized. We only show the detection that matters to the user, and they will hear. Now, keep in mind that all of the audio design has been done for, as my colleague said, in stereo headphones. So it doesn't translate super well with this kind of speakers, but for the sake of the example, here you hear the obstacle there. You hear the person coming towards you. And then you hear nothing, because there's nothing to be said. You're safe, you can walk straight, and as long as you hear nothing, you can keep walking up to that point. And now we're in a situation which is one of the hardest situations that we can have is essentially a crosswalk, right? Because you have cars coming from the left, you have cars coming from the right, you have people crossing, they're going towards you, they're going in the same direction as you. And so the copilot has to be able to understand, okay, that car is not moving, so we don't care about it. There's a person there, but they're going with me, so we also don't care about it. It has to understand, I can cross the road here, but here I can't. So if we go the same scene, right, crossing the street, but seeing everything that biped is seeing, that's what it looks like. There is a lot of information. So now let's go back to the previous view we had, where we only show what the copilot prioritized. So if you don't see anything, you don't hear anything. And here, well, you don't hear anything, because the bus is stationary, so it's not a threat. What is a threat is the obstacle right in front of you, and you should be warned about it. All right, now I've shown you how under the hood it works, and with the AI copilot, we've developed one of the most powerful assistive tech in the world of assistive technologies. On top of that, with the biped experience, we're launching the biped app, and my colleague Paul will talk to you about it. Thank you. We have this here, yes.
So together with the biped and the biped copilot, we're launching the biped app, which allows us to interact between a mobile phone and the biped device. So the reason for launching that app is that it's allowing us to get the person to learn how to handle the feedback that we give with the biped copilot. So for that matter, we designed a set of audio training examples with fully immersive sounds in order to replicate some situations that the person could face in a safe environment. That way, the person is able to experience all of these situations safe at home, and then afterwards be able to fully trust the biped copilot because it will replicate the sounds that the person could learn beforehand. Together with that, we're able to modify the copilot settings from the app, as there is not a one-size-fits-all in terms of assistive technologies. So with different kind of impairments, we could decide on using different settings and have a different feedback. With that, we will also engage on providing continuous updates to the biped copilot through the app by a system of remote updates that we can launch and just monitor every device that has been sold. So now that we've seen the whole copilot experience, the whole biped experience with the biped device, the copilot AI, and the biped app, I will leave the stage for Stefan, who will talk about our collaboration with SZ-Blind.
Hello everyone, my name is Stefan Morker, I'm from the Swiss Blind Federation. It's the umbrella organization for the blind, deaf-blind, visually impaired people in Switzerland. So we have a range of products, about 650 different products. White cane is the mother of all products that we have. We have speaking watches, we have different products for the daily use. And of course, if we think about a white cane, the white cane is the best product, as I told you. So yeah, if you want to find a way from A to B, you have a white cane. You get trained as a blind or visually impaired person. You know where to go from A to B if you want to find a friend's place, or if you want to go to work, or in a shopping center, you know where to go. But from this part, that means from the chest up to the head, you don't have any protection. So if maybe there's a truck coming, loading down some products, and you're walking real fast, some blind people are working real fast, and you actually bump into that system. Or if you have some other situation, so your head is not protected, which is really important, but below it's protected. So in the last few years, actually, we had different products to test. It was based on ultrasound, it was based on laser technology. A lot of products were built on the cane itself. So it's the cane itself. If you walk around going left to right all day long, it takes a lot of strength out of your hand. So if you have on plus a product that it actually makes the cane even heavier, so it's going to be difficult for you to move on. So a good thing is actually to place it somewhere that it's not as disturbing if you use a public transportation or at different other aspects of your life. And so we were really up to last, I think it was in May this year, you were contacting me, or I was contacting you. Well, I think so, because I just saw information on the internet, on the internet. And then I was thinking, okay, maybe let's give a chance. Maybe we tested already 20 to 30 different items already. So almost weekly I have some startups calling me, or some people who would like to do their master work or bachelor work, and they think they actually invented something great. That's good, you know. People would like to do something for the blind community. It's always great. But then actually to find a product that actually suits everyone, that it's simple in use, and that's the biggest challenge I can tell you. We ourselves produced, I think 3 or 4 years ago, the first talking vibrating Swiss watch. And to create something simple to use is so complex. And you have to listen to so many opinions. It's not an easy task to do. So with Pipette, actually, we did a test, I think, in fall. And in 1st of December, we had a test in Lenzburg with my blind worker. And there was Mrs. Ersam. She is the head of products at the LOFAS, that means BSV, that means the Swiss State Assurance for blind and visually impaired people. And she tested it herself. And I was so amazed that she actually, with closing eyes and with her cane, she actually could find obstacles and turn around. And she is not visually impaired. And as a sighted person, to actually walk in the dark with a cane, we were so insecure to do so. She actually found out the obstacles and was stopping in the right minute and turning around and finding the spot to go. So the first hands-on were really positive. On the end of April, we have a big show in Bern with Pipette and other people, other producers of white cane and, of course, detection. And we're going to have mainly all the orientation officers in Switzerland there, with the person, actually, that I told you before, Mrs. Ersam, that she's going to actually supervise the event. And there we're going to see what are the orientation officers telling us about the product. And it's always good. The first hand-on is really positive. The biggest challenge is coming. That means the future, daily living. Can the product actually perform on a daily basis?
And that's important. And I think if Pipette stays open for that, and change things, as one of our friends told us before, to make the product better because of feedback, I think that's a good product. It was, until now, one of the best products I ever tested myself. I said I tested 30, 40 products in the same range, and I'm happy with it. here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. So we've announced quite a bit today, so I'd like to offer a quick recap. Today we announced the biped device. Biped Copilot has its own software and biped app to interact with it. There is a key element I wanted to touch upon, which is pricing. Because developing new technology and not making it affordable for target end users is a big struggle, especially in assistive technology. So we thought a lot about it, and we iterated quite a bit, and we just figured out today everything's becoming a subscription. And there is very good chances that by offering subscription to end users, with a month of free trial at the beginning, it's a great way to know whether it's a suitable device for the end user and not selling something that is useless in the end. With all of that, biped is offered at 129 Swiss francs per month with a month of free trial at the beginning. And we're quite excited to have this type of pricing scheme happening because, of course, the long-term shoot is to get the reimbursement of the solution. In the meantime, it's private beta testers and private end users that we're reaching out to who are trusting us and buying the solution for them. I also wanted to highlight some of the key things that happened throughout the year because, of course, we've worked on the product and a couple of other things happened along the way. Biped was showcased at some of the leading tech events. It was super fun to do and to also bring awareness what kind of assistive technologies are being developed out there. Biped is a class 1 medical device now officially, so that was a major step that we took towards the commercialization of the product. Biped is also a CE-marked device, patent pending solution, and the first batch is completely sold out, which was also very good news for team's work towards the end of the year. And will be showcased at CES 2023 again in Las Vegas, so fun trip to come. We've had very good press response so far. That was one of the things we could highlight later than this morning. Ali was featured in a TV show from France Info, and that's of course gives great exposure and highlights a lot of the iterations that we were building behind biped. 2022 in pictures, we had the chance to attend CES. We had the chance to meet Lex Gillett, who's a blind Paralympic athlete. He's doing long jump. We met him in Chula Vista in San Diego, directly in his training center to get his feedback on the device. We ran beta testing sessions in Long Beach, recorded TV spots for France 2, had the chance to give a talk at Stanford. Also, we got our new offices in Biopole, north of Lausanne. Presented biped at PyCon, that's one of the leading technical conferences for Python in Italy. We introduced biped's first version at VivaTech in June, at the ZISO fair in the Netherlands. That's one of the biggest events for the blind community also in the Netherlands. Presented biped at École 42 to some of the local students here in Lausanne. And finally, we had the chance to present biped at the European Parliament. And before we knew there was 1.5 million hidden somewhere, otherwise we would have asked for some money, but maybe it's in this picture. So I'd like to give a quick shout out also to some of the people who made biped possible today. We had various early stage support from the FIT, from VentureKick, from Junilem, from Biopole, from the SPAY, from InnoSwiss, of course from the Future of Health grants more recently. All these supports made biped possible. We have an outstanding local ecosystem in Switzerland, and I think early stage partners, of course, the Ophthalmic Hospital, Estetline, and the Swiss Federation for the Blind with Luciano Butera, who couldn't make it today, but who was also our first contact point once we started biped. And partner firms, so we work together with Safely. There's a video in the room for the regulatory compliance. We worked with BF Engineering. They're going to have a smooth good afterwards for the device iteration, and with Kudelski for everything related to cybersecurity and making sure the software that runs on biped is actually legit software. And also a big thank you to our beta testers, Alice and you, and to many others, because it's hard to stress out how important it is to have people who can be in a room somewhere, take an afternoon off, and come and help you test something. And we had quite many of them all the way. We had testing facilities directly with the ophthalmic hospital, and at some point we moved directly in the streets to have the ability to test in more realistic conditions. And all these people took afternoons, gave us feedback on the device, and tried together to make the device better, giving us honest and direct feedback. And one more thing we wanted to announce today is actually a collaboration that we're happy to be able to disclose today, together with, and this is a bit of a dream behind the motto behind biped. We wanted to bring self-driving cars to the pedestrian level, and today we're happy to partner with the Honda Research Institute Europe, and we have Niels and Jens from Honda Research Institute who are there in the room. I'd like to welcome you on stage and click, sorry.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy that we are invited today and that we can announce today a collaboration between the Honda Research Institute, where I'm from, and biped. So I'm Jens Einecke. I'm a principal scientist at the institute. And yeah, I'd like to give you some insights about this collaboration today. First, a bit of background. What is the Honda Research Institute? Because I think not everybody will be knowing what this is. So Honda, you may know.
Yeah. Could you just start again?
Oh, sorry. Okay, so yeah, very sorry. Yeah, as I said, I'm very happy that I can announce the cooperation between the Honda Research Institute, where I'm from, and biped today. I'm Jens Einecke. I'm a principal researcher at the Honda Research Institute. And to give you a bit of a background of the institute I'm from, so the Honda Research Institutes are three sister institutes located at Japan, in Frankfurt in Europe, and in the US. And they are a fundamental research division of Honda, so the automobile and motorcycle manufacturer. And we were founded in 2003, and really the focus was fundamental research as a center of excellence for intelligent systems, and to really focus on things that would be interesting or would be important for Honda in the future. There was a bit of a change in 2008 because of this impact of business field changing and the financial crisis, and we were asked to go more also into applied technology. So we had a bit of shift, but we always tried to keep our fundamental nature and combine everything in a good way. So what is our philosophy today? And we term it as innovation or innovate through science. Which means that we want to create knowledge that matters and that also helps society to flourish. So we also would like to enrich enrich the community and the society with our not only with the research that we do, but also with the products and services that will come out of that. Yeah, on this chart, I know it's a bit busy, but it shows a little bit about the different projects that we did in the past. But you can maybe put them together in four major streams, and that is learning systems, so what is nowadays mainly called AI. So we already did this like 20 years ago. And standard computer vision systems, and a lot of on optimization. And also prediction is one of our major concepts. And as I said, we had this shift towards more into applied science. So we integrated this a little bit into a new concept, which we call cooperative intelligence, which means we want to create systems and intelligent systems that do not try to replace people or humans, but try to cooperate with them, that try to enhance their skills and their abilities in order to make their life better or to improve their skills that they already have. What are the fields that we're working on? So we have a quite wide range, ranging from robotics,
also from learning and personalization, also a lot of knowledge representation. So everything you need to build an intelligent system. But we also care, and of course, of mobility, since we're an automotive company. But we also concentrate lately also on things like data privacy and security, because we think this will even be more important when things become more intelligent. They also need to be safe from the IT side point of view. And so why are we now cooperating with biped? So of course we realized that we do a lot of research and we try to apply it to Honda products, but Honda products are not always fitting to the research we do, or they also have a general they have a quite wide range of applicability, and it would be not a waste, but it would be a pity not to have them applied on a broader range. And that's why we, from the Honda Research Institute, created this Innovation Opportunities Initiative. And this aligns also very well with some goals that Honda as a mother company from us has. And one is, of course, to actively engage in the social development goals from the United Nations. But also Honda has a goal or a vision which they call safety for everyone. So we try as a company to produce products that can be used by everyone, and that everyone can have a safe mobility no matter what the people are doing. And yeah, in order, as I said, in order to increase our impact of the research, we reached out and tried to find companies that would benefit from using our technologies. And luckily, we found biped and thought it's a really fitting partner to start this initiative. And we think that's also a quite good win-win situation for both of us. So we can have our research applied to a broader range, and also this gives us more experience to know how we can improve also our technology and also our research. And for the partner companies, in this case, biped, of course, it enables the partners to use technology that are quite mature and saving the development time. So why is this quite fitting? And I think Maël mentioned it already quite a few times, that it seems to be obvious to say, okay, there's autonomous driving, there are a lot of advanced driver systems in any car. So why can this not be used for something else? And in this case, of course, for biped, for walking assist. And if you look at the technology that exists, there are now, as I said, in almost every car, there are things like forward collision warning systems, or also lane departure warning system. They are all based on, or most of them are based on camera sensors, and they give you some help in driving your car, in warning you in difficult situations, or for the autonomous driving to help the car find its way. And so this is very similar to what you have for the walking assist in biped. So you need to warn people of obstacles, static and dynamic, of course. And also mentioned already this low-hanging obstacles that are not so easily covered by the white cane. So we think that's a quite good fit to bring our technology here. And I brought you one image. It's a bit more technical, and I have a larger version of this. So what we are doing, or what the technology that we are now sharing with biped is called risk modeling or risk estimation. And what it essentially does, so you can see this here on the left side a little bit. So if you have a car, the blue car that's trying to get across some crossing, and to other cars that are also nearby, you need to estimate in some future what will happen, where will those cars be. And predicting is one aspect, of course, but the other most important thing is to not have the prediction, but to estimate how large is the risk of this constellation in the future. And that is what you see a little bit, the internal view of the system will have of this future situation, where blue means this is a low risk and red means this is a high risk. And essentially it tells the system how does it need to adapt its velocity in order to move through the so to say, to the valley of low risk in order not to collide something. And essentially what it does, if you look at the far in the future, so if I'm going across the street, the system realizes that the car Also crossing will come very late, so it's not a critical thing, but the car in front of me is slower than me. So I will essentially crash into that. And that's what you see with the dashed line here at the top. So if I go with constant speed, I will have this, be colliding, so that's this red, so this red risk at the top. So I need to reduce my speed, and then I will be safe traveling. And yeah, that's very similar what you have in the walking assist for the blind, that you need to be aware of different actors in the environment. They are dynamic, they have a certain position in future, and also here we can apply this risk estimation technology to have a better estimation. What are the critical elements, as mentioned before, what are the critical elements that need to be warned and which are maybe not important? For example, if somebody is walking past me, even though it might be close, it's not so important because it will just pass by and not be a risk. Okay, that said, so what will the future of this collaboration be? As I said, we will start soon to integrate this risk technology to improve the warning. We also have on the near future agenda to think about improving also planning, maybe based on the GPS navigation system, where we know where somebody's heading. Then of course we can improve the planning and help finding the path through a crowd of people, for example. But as you've seen, so we have worked on a lot of different topics, technologies, and I think two things that are maybe worth discussing in detail with biped is that we worked a lot on sensor fusion and also on the quality control of sensors, which I think is important if you want to have something that's running 24/7. And also we have a lot of experience with an auto robotics. Unfortunately, it was a project not taken up by Honda and working and went into a product. So we had an autonomous lawnmower equipped with a camera, but I think there's a lot of experience and also technology that we developed there that can maybe finally find its way into a product and be used as we intended at that time. And with that, I thank you for your attention, and yeah, I think there will be some time afterwards to also discuss in more detail and have questions for us. Thank you very much. Okay.
Perfect. So what is next today? The most important, we have cakes right on the other side with a couple of coffee. So we'll just make sure everybody has what they want to eat and drink. At the same time, this room will be reconfigured to have a small obstacle course so that you can actually test biped in action. So feel free to do that and join us with this at the same time. Whenever this is ready, you'll see in the corners of this room we'll establish a couple of presentations. One will focus on the sound design, so how we designed the sound. So that will be with Lucas and Thiago, who helped us design the whole experience and how they transferred this knowledge from the gaming industry into the biped product now. We will have one of the booths held by VF Engineering to show a bit the hardware updates that came along the way. And finally, we will have a booth on how the copilot system works in more details. So this is a free booth. Feel free to go around them as you want to exchange a bit more with the people who developed this. And that being said, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for coming here today and celebrating with us the launch of biped, and join us for the cakes. Thank you very much.